What if you're constantly blamed for things that aren't your fault? Imagine having someone in your life who always points the finger at you, no matter what you do. It's exhausting, isn't it? The weight of their accusations can make you doubt yourself, feel frustrated, and even question your own reality. But here's the truth: you don't have to carry that burden. In this video, we're going to explore how to deal with people who always blame you and how to protect your peace without feeling guilty. The first step in dealing with someone who always blames you is to recognize the pattern. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, especially when you're being criticized or blamed, but taking a step back and identifying the recurring behavior is key. This isn't just an isolated incident, it's a pattern of behavior that may have developed over time. It's important to understand that the person who blames you may be dealing with their own issues, insecurities, frustrations, or even unresolved emotional pain. Often, blaming others is a defense mechanism. By recognizing that this blame is more about their internal struggles than about your actions, you can start to shift your mindset and prevent it from affecting you so deeply. One key sign that you're dealing with someone who frequently blames you is if they never take responsibility for their own actions. Everything is always someone else's fault, and you seem to always be in the wrong, even when it's not justified. It can feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid blame or criticism. This pattern can create a toxic dynamic in any relationship, whether it's personal, professional, or familial. First thing you need to do is take a step back and objectively analyze the situation. Ask yourself, is this the first time this person has blamed me, or is it something that happens regularly? If it's the latter, you're dealing with a behavior pattern, not an isolated event. The longer this behavior persists, the more entrenched it becomes in your interactions with them. This cycle of blame can wear you down emotionally and mentally, so it's vital to gain awareness of it. Once you've recognized the pattern, it's time to stop internalizing it. It's easy to get lost in the emotional whirlpool of blame, but realizing that the issue isn't yours to carry can be freeing. When you're blamed, especially repeatedly, it's easy to internalize the accusations and start doubting yourself. You might begin to believe that you're at fault, even when you know deep down that you're not. But here's the truth: when someone else is constantly pointing fingers at you, their blame says more about them than it does about you. One of the most important things you can do in these situations is to separate yourself from the blame. When you take on someone else's emotional baggage, it can weigh you down and make you question your worth. But remember, you are not responsible for other people's perceptions, actions, or feelings. A key way to avoid internalizing blame is to set clear boundaries with the person who is blaming you. This could mean limiting your interactions with them or calmly asserting that their accusations are not acceptable. If they continue to blame you, you don't need to react emotionally. Instead, stay calm and firmly state your truth. For example, you could say, "I understand that you're upset, but I don't believe I'm responsible for this situation." This lets them know that you won't accept the blame and that you are not willing to carry the emotional weight they are trying to place on you. Remember, just because someone blames you, it doesn't mean you have to accept it. Don't let their narrative become your reality. It's essential to stay grounded in your own truth and not let someone else's version of events control how you see yourself. A key practice in avoiding internalizing blame is constant self-reflection. When someone blames you, check in with yourself. Is this truly my responsibility? More often than not, you'll find the answer is no. Another important aspect is learning to distinguish between valid feedback and invalid blame. While constructive criticism can help us grow, blame, especially the kind that's unjust or manipulative, is a reflection of the other person's inability or unwillingness to accept their own faults. Another crucial tool when dealing with someone who always blames you is to communicate clearly and assertively. The way you respond to blame can either reinforce the cycle of accusation or break it. When you're calm and clear, you are less likely to be manipulated or guilted into taking responsibility for something that isn't your fault. Start by acknowledging the person's feelings without agreeing with their accusation. For example, you could say, "I understand that you're upset, but blaming me won't help solve the problem." This allows you to express empathy while still standing your ground, showing that you care about their emotions without accepting unwarranted blame. It's also important to use I statements instead of you statements. For example, instead of saying, "You're always blaming me for everything," say, "I feel frustrated when I'm blamed for things that I didn't do." This shifts the focus from accusing the other person to expressing your own feelings, which reduces the chances of a defensive reaction, making it more likely they'll listen. You can also take a proactive approach in the conversation. Rather than waiting for the blame to fall on you, you can preemptively set the tone of the conversation. If you feel the discussion might turn into a blame blame game. Establish clear expectations for communication. For instance, you could say, "Let's have a conversation about what happened without pointing fingers. We'll focus on solutions instead." This approach fosters collaboration and problem solving rather than conflict. Setting boundaries is key in these situations. If the person continues to blame you or refuses to acknowledge your feelings, let them know that you won't engage in a conversation that is solely focused on blame. You might say, "I'm willing to talk about this constructively, but not if it's going to turn into a blame game." Setting this boundary helps maintain control of the conversation. If the person is unwilling to communicate effectively and continues to blame you unjustly, it's okay to disengage. Walking away from the conversation, at least temporarily, is sometimes the best choice. You've already communicated your stance, and if they're unwilling to listen or engage in a productive manner, you don't have to continue the cycle of blame. Dealing with someone who constantly blames you can take a toll on your mental and emotional health. It's important to prioritize self-care and make sure you are protecting your well-being in these situations. When you feel attacked, it's easy to get wrapped up in the stress and negativity of the situation, but this will only further drain your energy and peace of mind. Make sure you're taking time for yourself, whether it's through relaxation techniques like meditation, exercise, or spending time with loved ones who uplift you. Creating a strong support system outside of the person who is blaming you can help you regain perspective and reinforce your sense of self-worth. Having people who remind you of your value is crucial in keeping your emotional health intact during such challenges. You can also practice mindfulness to stay grounded in the present moment. This will help you avoid getting lost in the emotions stirred up by the blame and remind you that you have control over how you react to situations. This gives you the space to reset emotionally and helps break free from the negativity. If the relationship is consistently toxic and harmful to your mental health, it might be worth considering whether it's time to distance yourself from the individual. Your mental health and peace of mind should always come first. There's no shame in setting boundaries, especially when it comes to relationships that are draining and unproductive. Sometimes taking a step back can provide clarity and allow you to heal. Take time for activities that replenish your energy, whether it's reading a book, practicing yoga, or spending time outdoors. Prioritize rest and relaxation to avoid burnout. It's also helpful to reconnect with supportive friends or family who remind you of your worth and help you stay grounded, making sure you don't feel isolated or alone in your experiences. Dealing with someone who constantly blames you can be overwhelming, but with the right tools, you don't have to let their behavior affect your peace. Recognizing the blame pattern, not internalizing it, and setting clear boundaries are key to protecting your emotional health. Remember, your worth isn't defined by others' accusations. Stand your ground and prioritize your well-being to break free from the cycle of blame.